In your intro stats class, we have quizzes, and these quizzes are based on Microsoft Excel. You do not need any prior knowledge of Microsoft Excel. All the instructions will be given. To answer the quizzes, there will be a video posted with each quiz. In that video, I'm explaining all the Microsoft Excel tools necessary to answer the questions in the quiz. Only difference in the quiz compared to the video posted with the quiz is the data set. I will use my own data set to explain the Excel tools during the video, and then you can watch that, understand those MS Excel steps, and apply those very same steps for the specific data set given with the quiz. Other than that, there is absolutely nothing hidden. Once you watch the video with attention, you have understood everything necessary to answer the specific quiz. The reason why we use Microsoft Excel is it helps us to analyze large data sets. Of course, if I have 20 or 25 data points, I can simply go ahead and enter them into the calculator. But on the other hand, we know when you have large number of data points, the analysis becomes more reliable. Therefore, we always prefer large data sets. But even if I have just 50 data points or 100 data points, entering that one by one into the calculator is a tedious task. So we don't want to waste time entering the data points. Often we have data sets having maybe 5,000 data points, 10,000 data points, maybe 100,000 data points, and so on. These days, with the availability of computers, people can easily collect so many data. So one main expectation of intro stats class is to teach students how to analyze a fairly large data set. For that reason, we are going to use Microsoft Excel. Of course, there are so many other software available to analyze large data sets. But on the other hand, Microsoft Excel is very easy to understand. That's one reason why I selected Microsoft Excel. And also, if you look at any other universities teaching intro statistics classes, almost all those courses use Microsoft Excel. Microsoft Excel also helps us to draw nice graphs. If I need to draw a pie chart, or if I need to draw a bar graph, we can draw them nicely using Microsoft Excel. So because of those reasons, we go ahead and use Excel for the large data sets. However, I have to warn you on one thing. All these instructions are given for the Windows operating system. In case if you're using a different operating system, such as iOS, or Chrome operating system, or Linux, or any other operating system, I can still assure you that most of these instructions, I would say 99.9% of these instructions, will be exactly the same for your operating system as well. But occasionally, maybe one or two cases, you might see slight discrepancies. If you see any such discrepancies, you will have to figure it out yourself. You can simply search in Google and see how that specific operation is performed in your operating system for your version of Excel. However, in case if you continue to struggle figuring out how to do that specific operation for your version of Excel for your operating system, perhaps your best bet would be to find a Windows computer. One place where you can find Windows computers is Kansas State University Library. Of course, Manhattan Library and also Salina Library has computers with Windows installed. All those computers also have Microsoft Office package installed. So if you click on Office package, you will see Microsoft Excel. Okay, let's do a real quick review on Microsoft Excel before we formally begin any quizzes. To find Microsoft Excel, you can go to Windows and then click on Excel. Excel will be there provided the Microsoft Office package is installed. So simply click on Excel. And here is the Excel spreadsheet. So first we will see how to use MS Excel spreadsheet for simple arithmetic operations. But before doing that, we have to understand how to read the cells in the Excel spreadsheet. Reading cells is just like reading a coordinate point in the OXY system. So the Excel spreadsheet has columns and rows. The columns are labeled using English letters. A is the first column, B is the second column, C is the third column, D is the fourth column, and so on. The rows are labeled as 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the first row, this is the second row, the third row, fourth row, fifth row, and so on. And if I need to refer a certain cell, you have to first mention the column label and next the row label. So the first cell right here is called the cell A1, because A is the column label, 1 is the row label. Now, if I need this cell, how do you label that? It is D4. So the selected cell as of now is D4. You can simply move your cursor to whatever the cell that you like and then left click. That will select the necessary cell. Now, this selected cell right now is K6. So that's the basic understanding you need for the Excel spreadsheet. And also, rather than selecting a cell using the mouse, you can also use the arrow keys on the keyboard. So if I use the down arrow key, you can go down. And if I use the right arrow key, you can go right. If I use the up arrow key, you can go up. And if I use the left arrow key, you can go left. So likewise also, we can select whatever the cell that we like. You can enter numbers to these cells, like 10, for example, and then hit enter. I have entered 10 for the cell 1. I can enter 12 and hit enter again. Now 12 is entered for the cell A2. So likewise, we can enter the numbers for the cells. And also we can perform basic arithmetic operations. To perform any basic arithmetic operations, remember we have to start with the equal sign. So I will select the cell in the middle of the spreadsheet, somewhere here. So if I need to, let's say, add two numbers, I need to add 10 and 15. I need to start with the equal sign. Whenever you write a formula, you have to start with the equal sign. Equal 10 plus 15. That's basically all I need, and then you can hit enter. That'll give me the answer. Let's say I would like to subtract 25 from 100. How do I start? I start with the equal sign, 100 minus 25, and then hit enter. That gives me the answer. And also, if you go back to the cell, right here, you can see the operation that you just performed, 100 minus 25. And also, we can do multiplication and division the same way. Let's say I would like to multiply 8 and 5. I will start with the equal sign, 8 times 5, and then hit enter. I get the answer. And by going back to the cell where we calculated whatever the answer, you can see the operation that was performed. Let's say I would like to divide two numbers. I need to divide 100 by 25. Once again, I need to start with the equal sign, 100 divided by 25. Hit enter, I get the answer. So those are the basic operations that can be done using Microsoft Excel. And also, rather than calculating all those things within one cell, if necessary, we can enter those numerical values to cells, and then we can refer those cells and perform the operations. Let's say I would like to enter 100 to the cell G5 and 25 to the cell G6. Let's say I would like to add those two values. Let's say I would like to have my answer for the cell G10. I will go ahead and shade it with yellow so that I can see the answers more clearly. Now, if I need to add 125, I have to start with the equal sign, and we can do it like earlier, 100 plus 25. And we already know how to obtain the answer that way. But I'm going to show you a slightly different approach. Here, we can refer the cells and add those two numbers. So I can define it as G5, where I have 100, plus G6, that's where I have 25. Or after writing down the equal sign, I can use the arrow keys and select the first cell with the numerical value that I need. And then hit the plus sign. And then once again, you can use the arrow key, up arrow key this time, and then select the cell with the number 25. That's easier rather than reading it as G5 plus G6. And simply hit enter. That's basically all. It'll add those two values. And if I need to multiply those two values, what I have to do, I have to start with the equal sign, go and select the first numerical value, hit the multiplication, and once again, select the second numerical value using the arrow keys, And that's basically all, G5 times G6, and then hit enter. That will multiply those two values. When you perform a numerical calculation in Excel using numerical values themselves, for example, 125, without referring to cells, that process is called numerical reference. Instead, what we did right now was multiplying 100 by 25 using their corresponding cells. That process is referred to as cell reference. So here what we did was cell reference. I will do another example. Let's say I need to add 8 and 5 equals 8 plus 5. So what is this? This answer is a numerical reference. Now, if I have 8 and 5 entered into these two cells, and if I need to add those two values, I start with the equal sign, and I can select G5, that's where I have 8, plus G6, that's where I have 5, and then hit enter. Now, this calculation is called a cell reference. So sometimes those terms are actually helpful when we use Microsoft Excel for somewhat more complicated calculations. Okay, so actually, Microsoft Excel has multiple ways to do sometimes the same operation. Let's say I have a set of numbers, 20, 25, 26, 23, 35, 61, 62, 68, 94, and so on. I would like to go ahead and add those numbers. So one way I can do is the numerical reference. So I can start with the equal sign and then keep adding by entering one by one. 20 plus 25 plus 26 plus 23 plus 35 and so on. So that's one way to do it. The other way is to do the cell reference. I can start with equal sign and then first write G1 plus G2 plus G3 plus G4 and so on. That's another way to add the set of numbers given here. But on the other hand, it takes time. Rather than doing it that way, we can simply write the equal sign and type sum and open parentheses, and then select all the cells with those numerical values. So I have selected the first cell, and in order to include all the other cells as well, because if I use the arrow keys, I can only select one cell at a time. But I need to select all of these cells. To do that, I need to press Shift. With Shift, you can press the down arrow key. That will select the complete set of numbers. And then you can simply close parentheses and then hit enter. So 414 is the summation of all of those numbers. Some people don't like to type the function by hand. For them, there's a shortcut. Let's say I would like to have the summation of all these numbers to this yellow cell, which is G10. If I cannot remember the formula that I should enter, I can simply move my cursor to FX right here. And then you can select a category. Often these things can be found in most recently used category. Summation is one such. And if you cannot find whatever the operation you need under the most recently used category, you can select a different category. By clicking this little arrow, there are other categories, all. If you select all, you can see all the functions. But in that case, you will have to scroll for a fairly long time and pick whatever the function that you need. But the good news is, even if you go for all the functions, you will see them in the alphabetical order. So the summation starts with S. You can simply scroll fast until you see S, and then you can scroll slowly and pick the function sum. And we have the other things like financial, date and time, math and trig, statistical. Statistical will be the function that we will most frequently use. Anyways, for this calculation example, I can simply go for the most recently used, and it's preferred when I have the function I need. So I'm going to select sum and then click on OK. In case if you don't see sum under most recently used category in your computer, And if you select statistical, maybe you will not find the function sum. Just for that specific function, maybe you have to go for all. And then scroll down. And then select the function sum. And then click on OK. And then you can see number 1, and then there's a little arrow. Click on this little arrow, select the first cell, and then shift and down arrow key. That's one way to select the cells. Or you can simply click on the first cell, and then keep clicking the left mouse button, and then drag down until you go up to the last cell you need. That's the second way to select all of these numbers. But both procedures are somewhat inefficient, because if I had like a large data set, maybe 10,000 data points, it's not easy to keep pressing shift and keep pressing the down arrow key, or pressing the left mouse button and dragging it down for all 10,000 data points, or maybe 100,000 data points. In such cases, we can use a shortcut. So here's the shortcut. You simply select the first cell, and then you're going to press 3 keys at once. What are the 3 keys? Shift, Control, down. It will select the entire data set. Once again, you are going to select the first cell, and then with that, 3 keys, Shift, Control, down. Once you press all 3 keys, Shift, Control, and down arrow key, it will select the entire data set. And that's basically all you need. After that, you can move your cursor back to this little arrow and click that, or you can simply hit Enter. I just have one set of numbers, so the second field is kept empty. I don't need to pay any attention for the second field, and then simply click on OK. That gives me the summation of this data set. So this is a small intro tour of Microsoft Excel. And there are so many other calculations that can be done. We will see them in the future. As of now, you have a basic understanding of Microsoft Excel. And I strongly recommend that you open Microsoft Excel in your computer and play with it a little bit if you don't have any prior knowledge on Microsoft Excel. And then you can go for the first quiz. Okay, I will stop this intro video on Microsoft Excel at this point. And it's very natural to have many questions. And I'm sure that you can figure them out yourself by playing here and there a little bit. And if you still need any help, please feel free to email. I can help you with them. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the intro video on Microsoft Excel at this point. And like I said earlier, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. But also, please keep in mind that you are in college, and even though help is available, it is best if you try to find the answers yourself a little bit. Anyways, if you still have problems, please feel free to contact me, and I'll try my best to explain. Okay, so this is an intro video on Microsoft Excel. Thanks.